Speaking of the elite, the predator class, Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty on 5 charges. But the question is, what about everybody else, right? They're like tying this up in a bow, saying, okay, it's done. But Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein sexually trafficked girls to who? Teddy bears? In ghosts? Come on. Those people are not being held accountable. So we're going to discuss that today. So this article from ABC just basically, reiterated that she was found guilty of luring girls for sexual abuse by financier and pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. And the verdict came after a month-long trial, right? And our friend Addie Ads has been covering that, featuring sordid accounts of the sexual exploitation of girls as young as 14, told by 4 women who described being abused as teens in the 90s and early 2000s at Epstein's palatial homes in Florida, New York, and New Mexico. So the jury deliberated for 5 days before they came into a guilty verdict for 5 out of the 6 charges. So now I'm going to go over this video. I want us to show this video by Addie Ads, because he was live there right outside the courthouse when this was all going on. So I want to take a look at his video, but he said Ghislaine Maxwell has been found guilty by a trial of her peers on counts 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 5 out of 6, and partial convictions, partial acquittals, as I predicted. So let's hear what he says, and then we'll go on and break it down.
Okay, guys. I literally got in there right as they were reading the verdict. Guilty on 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. To repeat, 5 out of 6 counts. Guilty. So I was right. It's partially guilty, partially acquitted. I would say more convictions than I was expecting. Again, 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it sounds like all the conspiracy charges, and then looks like one of the enticements didn't make it, surprisingly. Let me make sure I'm recording here. Okay. Wow, crazy stuff. I literally, Joe Nierman was right behind me, and then he got I lost him there in security. I rushed in, I went to the first floor. They were packed. I went up to the 5th floor. There was 4 people there, so I got in the jury box right away. As I was walking in, Judge Nathan, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, juror number whatever, is this your verdict? Yes. Juror number whatever, is this your verdict? Yes. And they went around, they all said yes. And I saw Maxwell, not a hugely visible emotional reaction that I could see from her. Maybe she's in shock. I don't really know. But I wanted to get in and out as quickly as I can. As far as I know, I was the first one out, besides maybe the lady over there. But crazy stuff here, folks. I was not foreseeing this ending today. I thought this was going to go into the new year, but here we are, guilty once again. Counts 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I will clarify what those are again in a second here. Stay.
Okay, so fam, before I get your reaction, I just want to go over what the part, he said he was going to clarify. I have right here the direct paper of the counts. You guys can see for yourselves, United States versus Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant. Count 1, conspiracy to entice individuals under the age of 17 to travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, guilty. Count 2 is the only one she wasn't found guilty on. Enticement of individual under the age of 17, Jane only, to travel with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, not guilty. Count 3, conspiracy to transport individuals under the age of 17 to travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, guilty. Transportation, count 4, of an individual under the age of 17, Jane only, with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, guilty. Count 5, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of individuals under the age of 18, guilty. And count 6, sex trafficking of an individual under the age of 18, Carolyn only, guilty. So those are all the counts, so you guys can see them for yourself. Sam?
I did a show the other day really quickly. I wanted to have something out, a little opinion from Jason Burmis. It's on our Rokfin. You can check it out because it's always great to understand what's going on and look at the nuances behind these things. And fam, I'm going to admit something right now to the world that I really don't want to admit, because what we need to start doing, and it's about all the sections today, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? We have to start thinking in a chess mentality. We have to start thinking 2 moves ahead. We have to start decoding, why are they telling us this? Why are they doing this? And what message are they trying to get us to see? Where are they trying to move us, right? The thing I'm going to admit is that Fam is the best chess player in the house. I hate to say it, and I played a lot of chess in my life. No, I'm going to say that because I can see myself making a move and your shit-eating grin that you have because you're already thinking 2 moves ahead. You're one of the hardest players I've ever had to play. We need to transition that. And I have that too because I'm a poker player. I'm always thinking, what's it going to be the odds, the next cards here and there? What does that person have? We need to start transitioning that thinking to what's going on with our social issues, with our political issues, and with issues like this. Because, Addy Ad just said something that was really important. He goes, I thought this thing was going to go on a lot longer. But why wait longer? Why not get it out before New Year's Eve? Let people be consumed with what's going on for New Year's, what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Let it fizzle out. The longer you can delay any type of serious dialogue or people thinking about it. So as long as the trial was going on, people were opening up more of Pandora's boxes and looking into more things. So they want this to go away, fam, right?
Yeah.
They don't want the elites. They don't want the elites to be accountable for, what they've done. Like you said, who were they sex trafficking these girls to? Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, to puppy dolls and whatnot? No, we know the people that were involved that will never get called to justice. So that's why they'll use distractions and they'll never show us anything. Let me let you go on because I know you're going to talk about the next part about what they hid and what they didn't show us. Go ahead.
Right. So there was this whole debate because Jack Posobiec and other right-wingers posted that the judge sealed the intelligence documents after the Ghislaine Maxwell verdict. But in reality, it's people have been saying the Newsweek denied it, and we're going to go over that. But the real thing that happened is it was sealed at the beginning of December, and it was always going to be sealed. So Hotep Jesus said, why did the judge seal the intelligence documents after the Ghislaine Maxwell verdict? Avi Yamini said, Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty, but judge orders all details on Epstein network to be sealed. In summary, it's worse than all the conspiracy theories. So basically what happened was that they were claiming that they sealed these documents. But then Newsweek comes out and Adam Klasfeld, the managing editor of Law and Crime, reported on the case in person and said, no, this isn't true. He disputed the claim. And that's according to Newsweek. He told the Daily Dot, I'm not quite sure what that even means, but insofar as I can make sense of the claim, it's easily disproven. Quite a bit of information about Epstein's associates is already in the public record. Newsweek was unable to find any public record of a new judgment having been passed in relation to documents about the case following the verdict. So they were going back and forth. The liberal media was saying it's just a bunch of right-wing conspiracy theorists, especially because Jack Posobiec was one of the first people to post it. And so then what happens is if you go back to the Times publication from the UK, they talk about how in the beginning of December 13th, Ghislaine Maxwell's little black book was to remain secret in a court deal. So the prosecution and defense in the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell agreed that her little black book of contacts will never be made public, even though the jury was allowed to see a part of it. Judge Alison Nathan ruled at Manhattan Federal Court that only a limited amount of material from the British socialite's contacts book would be released under seal. So the reality is it was somewhere in the middle that they decided that a month ago, basically, that they were going to seal this document, and a lot of people didn't know about it, so it came back into the media, and people were like, oh, they did this after the verdict. The truth was they had already decided they were going to seal the little black book and all of this. Now, why does Ghislaine Maxwell, a socialite, ties to Mossad via her father, get to have this sealed for her? I mean, how does that happen? How does that happen, fam?
Well, it's alleged Mossad, fam, right? Okay, right. just to say, but fam, it's still part of the bigger picture that a lot of people are not paying attention to. You just pointed out the way that's going back and forth between Jack Posobiec and the liberal media and stuff. They haven't shown us anything, fam.
Right.
Not even they've shown us the tip of the iceberg, but most of this iceberg is underwater. And there's other things that you can say and you can point to that are so huge that they'll never show us. Like, number one, they never raided New Mexico, right? That is where transhumanism is being practiced, according to Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. According to the New York Times, for crying out loud, they even admitted that transhumanism was being practiced. They had to get that information out there and stuff like that. But we never saw what's in there. We never saw what's underground. They never showed the public. What about all the tapes they took away from the New York mansion? Remember, like, oh my God, they got these tapes. Oh, we're going to see these tapes, fam. We haven't seen anything. Bupkis, nothing, nada, zero. And then finally, why didn't they let Virginia Dufresne Roberts testify? One of the most important witnesses out there who could have named so many names. So they never give you anything. They never show you anything. They just give you the white noise because it's been so politicized, fam, that one side, if you're a leftist or a Democrat or whatever the hell you want to call yourself nowadays in America, you're going to be anti Epstein stuff because it infringes more of your party, supposedly, right? Whereas if some of us on the outside who don't play team sports, we want to see it all. We want to know what Trump's involvement is, what Bill Gates' involvement is, what Les Wexner's involvement is, but we'll never get it because we have two set of rules for thee and rules for me, and you know all about it.
Exactly. And just to wrap up the section, I want to show a couple of tweets from people. This person said, so I guess Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficked all those girls to no men? And Ricky Rance said, Ghislaine Maxwell took the fall for the elites. And by took the fall, he doesn't mean that they're innocent. He means that they're just, they did this whole trial, this whole debacle that got very little mainstream media attention on purpose to satisfy the plebs, to say, look, we're going to put her behind bars, right? We're going to find her guilty, but they're never going to go after the rich and powerful that she and Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficked these girls into. And that's the frustrating part. That's what a lot of people, who are satisfied with this are missing. I think more people though, fam, are like us and they understand that this is not okay. I mean, this is just, the tip of the iceberg, as you said. And also, it's interesting that Ghislaine Maxwell is receiving a 65 maximum year, right? That's the maximum she could get, 65 years. Meanwhile, Julian Assange, right, is sitting in prison, in Belmarsh prison right now. They approved the extradition into the United States, the High Court did. And so now we have him in very dire health conditions, dire mental state as well. And he's facing 175 years of jail time for what? For being a publisher. And so you just see how different the justice system works when you are somebody that protects the predator class versus somebody that exposes them, right? So just wanted to make that point.
Absolutely. And fam, it's like we've been talking about this for a long time. My final statement is it's all connected. A lot of people with Epstein in his circle have a lot of stuff to go around with Big Pharma, with military industrial complex, with DARPA, all this stuff. Everything that we're seeing in front of our eyes, it looks like one class protecting themselves while the rest of us are just on the bottom level, fighting over the scraps and arguing, playing team sports. You'd be surprised, fam. You think a lot of people are like us? I would really hope to think that. But you had the Netflix series that made Epstein look like just a couple of bad apples and not really expose the bigger picture. Now you got this case over here where they're just going to look at them as bad apples and not really kind of look at the whole bigger picture, which is how many people were involved. Who were they sex trafficking these kids to? And remember, at the end of the day, they were children, fam. And that's a big sin. They were using our children as currency.